What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get back into some more wrestling. That's right, we're going to be looking at Impact Wrestling, and again, if you haven't checked out Impact Wrestling, you really need to do yourself the favor and check out Impact Wrestling. Listen, is Impact Wrestling going to be the best wrestling show out there? No. Is Impact Wrestling going to have the best talent out there? No. Are they going to bring the biggest, best fireworks show there is? They're going to give you the best production out there? No. But are they going to bring you a good wrestling show that's going to leave you with more? Yes, they will. Now listen, let's go ahead and let's break down and review Impact Wrestling for 3/16/21. And I've got my pen out. I'm ready to mark all these things up. I've got my notes. Listen, I was ready for this one. I sat down and we're going to try to keep things a little bit more organized because really with wrestling, I can get all over the place and it's hard to stay focused. So let's stay focused on this. Now, the wrestling show started off with a really, really nice change of pace. Wrestling. That's right, WWE. You can start out a show with just wrestling, and that's what they did. And they put on a pretty decent showcase between XXXL and FinJuice. Now, the match was decent enough as it was. It showcased really the abilities of FinJuice to really work with such large and limited wrestlers. But they both worked really well, and it came down. They did just fine, and it propelled the storyline further. Because why? The Good Brothers come on out after the match. And, they kind of have this back and forth and, that they're going to get the tag titles back. They're going to get the rematch. We're going to do this. Not so fast, FinJuice comes back and says, listen, we've got to get on a plane. We're heading right out right now back to Japan because we've got a tour. We got to be on tour with New Japan. But don't worry, you'll get your shot at Rebellion to get your titles back on April 24th. And that's where that leaves us with that first match, first breakdown. It was perfect. The way that they did it brought it in really nice. I give it an overall a B to possibly a B+. Let's stick with a B, a good way to start off the night. Now, let's go ahead and let's move on then to the Good Brothers coming in to Scott D'Amore's office. And, they say what it is, and Scott D'Amore kind of plays them off, which is kind of interesting. And I want to touch on this here. I really like Scott D'Amore. I love having him in here as a character. Him being this general manager, the guy in charge of everything, the way that he does it is just fantastic. He knows what he's doing. He knows when to get excited. He knows when not to. And he understands how to play a character, and it's fantastic. He's kind of the guy that whatever he needs to be, he ends up being. If he needs to be kind of the face in the situation to lift up the heel, he is that. If he is the guy who needs to be kind of the heel side, he can do that to lift up the baby face. If he needs to be the guy to just stay in the middle, he's that guy. And if the guy across from him is just boring, he's the guy to bring the energy. And that's what happened here because we had, after the Good Brothers left, Tommy Dreamer comes on in. And Tommy Dreamer, good night, Tommy Dreamer. Not only do you get a pass and you get to have, for a birthday for a month, it seemed like, with just some mediocre wrestling. It seems to be that we're going to have your mediocre mic skills as well. And listen, he's like, he's just like just that, no charisma, no nothing guy that just comes in and just tells you pretty much what's going on. And it's like, yes, thank you, obvious. Really? Seriously. And that's pretty much what he says. He goes, Scott, we've got a bad mess here. What's going on? We've got these tag titles. We have no tag titles now. What are you going to do? And Scott kind of goes off on him. And the whole point of this was to lead up to and to kind of promote their pay-per-view on Impact Plus that's going to be coming up. We found out on April 10th, and it's Hardcore Justice. That's what it's called. That's what they're doing. That's how it's going to be. And he's going to let Tommy Dreamer be the guy to set up the card. And Tommy Dreamer pulls this piece of paper out of his pants, and it's got everything written down because he's already got an idea for it, because he's kind of the, the Godfather or something, or tries to be the Godfather. He's more like the Snore Father. But that is where we're at, and it leads right into that. Thank you, Scott D'Amore, for saving this bit. And, we'll see what happens. I don't know. As you can tell, I'm not a huge fan of Tommy Dreamer. Never been a fan of Tommy Dreamer. I don't get his appeal. And that's fine if you like Tommy Dreamer, because this is professional wrestling. Not everything's going to work with everybody. You're not always going to get a pop out of everything. And just here for me, I'm just not a Tommy Dreamer fan. But anyways, we've got Hardcore Justice that's coming on April 10th, and I think we're going to get some interesting stuff from it. The idea is they're going to have a hardcore night, and it's going to be kind of a bunch of just hardcore matches, stuff that you wouldn't normally see, which I think is a good change of pace to have every now and again, and I think it perfectly fits into this situation and this segment. Now, we got to move into match 2. Match 2, we had the whole thing of Rhino came out at the pay-per-view, and so now he's got a match with Jake something. And I will have to say this, Jake something has been showing me something, the fact that he can actually wrestle really well in the ring. Now, this match wasn't really anything too great, nothing to really call home about. They worked back and forth. This was a powerhouse match. This was a slow match. It was hard to really get into it. And then it just turned into Gorefest. Why? Because Violent by Design, of course, had to interrupt into the match. And, of course, Jake something, and then what are they calling them? Machine beers or something like that. But you've got Storm and Sabin out there, and of course it's 4-on-3. So Gorefest wins, and everybody gets a gore. Gore for you, gore for you, gore for you, gore for you, gore for you. And you know what? To top it off, let's have a big gore on top. And that's what it was. Rhino and Gore and the Gorefest and Violent by Design winning out the day off of really some nefarious antics and stuff. Let's just say that in the scheme of things, I would say that probably this match would be a C+. So we're going to write down C+ on that and circle that. I'm going to go back to match 1 and give it a B+ after that, because the 2 with it definitely was a better match with it. However, I will say this, that Jake something is really showing us his abilities in the ring, and I really, really am looking forward to seeing more of him. I really like this angle. I really like what they're doing with him and projecting him with that here. We'll see what happens. Violent by Design is getting kind of a little bit boring to me. If you like it, great, but I like what's going on with Jake something, and I like I said, whatever they're calling with Storm and Sabin, I think that it's really nice. I really like to see them get up in the card and have them, doing some matches in that whole space for the tag titles. Now let's move on to, we had the Knockout Heels team promo, and, it was what it was. It was to highlight the match that was coming up. Nothing big. Let's move on. Match 3. Raju, and Shera. And I thought that this match was absolutely a wrestling clinic. If you really want to see how to wrestle, these guys showed you how to wrestle. And listen, they're 2 different guys with 2 different styles, but they were able to go ahead and showcase the other one in this match. And they kind of showed that this match too was a little bit of a grudge match, and they played it on each other and played off each other that way and used that to their ability. The one feeling, mistreated and that he gets no respect, and the other one that he feels betrayed by, the one who should, who should have his back and be behind him. And the fight between the 2 I thought was fantastic. Shera allowed Rajit to get his, to get his stuff in and vice versa. You got to see the power on one hand. You got to get the speed, the finesse on the other hand. They both hit marks really, really well. And of course, the bad guy came out in the end. But they both, in the end, came out looking really, really good. And that's what you do for a good match. The story, there's not a whole lot of story here. There's more story than what you'll get in a WWE normal, regular weekly match. But it definitely didn't have a whole lot of build-up. Pretty much you got to see... this is, been a little bit of over a month, coming in that. Obviously, they're not done, so we're going to continue to see this on with it. Listen, this match is going to get an A from me. I thought it was fun to watch. It was a good thing. Was I invested in either one of them? No, but by the end of it, I was invested in the match because it was a fun, very good, technically sound, hitting all their marks matches. Now, there probably was some flub-ups here and there, but I thought that it was fantastic and it went really, really well. And of course, you've got the feet on the ropes to win it. Now, let's go ahead and we have Rich Swann and Willie Mack talking, and Rich Swann says, listen, right now is not the time to party. I'm going to go out the ring. I'm going to tell everybody what it was. And this is our top of the hour, 9 o'clock hour, coming in to kind of get us into the big title picture. And that's what it leads us into. And Rich Swann goes ahead and cuts a WWE promo. And this is why he is Rich Yawn. Listen, I get it. We've been told ever since you got back that you had a hard time coming back. And, after your broken leg, you never thought you would be back. Listen, we've heard that from Edge. We've heard that from just about half of WWE's roster, all of the guys coming back, this and that. You got to give me something different than this. I'm just getting sick and tired of the same old, same old. You come out here and say this thing, and listen, you won both of the belts. And Impact, if you're going to have both of the belts, you need to do something with both of the belts. I don't know why this unified world title thing, he is it, and he's got 2 belts. You should have made one out of the 2 belts. Hopefully you take my advice and you make one out of the 2 belts. That would be fantastic. I would really love to see that happen. Make a really nice, gorgeous combination of the 2 belts with the accents of the Impact World title and put them on the shape of the TNA title. I think that would be fantastic. It would look really, really nice, really good, standout. That's fine. Call it the Unified Impact World title. That's fine with me. Just make it look like the TNA title, and I'll be okay with all of that. But anyways, let's get back into what actually happened here. Because what happened was we get this promo of this confident guy who is celebrating and then remembers in his head, like I said before, he was pinned by Kenny Omega, and then things got weird. I don't know what it is, but whenever Don Callis gets in a ring, it just gets weird, spooky weird, and I don't know why. Sometimes he's not even saying things that are necessarily creepy. They're just weird, just about how he presents himself, how he does stuff. Listen, the guy is a wrestling genius mind. I'm going to give him that. The guy knows how to use a mic. I'm going to give him that. He was a good wrestler. I'm going to give him that. I'm giving him all the props in the world. This just got really weird. And I don't know if it was that with Don Callis coming out and saying what he said, if it totally just threw Rich Swann for a loop to where Rich thought he was having a dream or something, or I don't know, because he just went to this dumbfounded look on his face. And again, it shows you that Rich Swann does not really have the chops to be carrying your title. That's all I'm going to say. He has a hard time running the mic, which we saw in his personal promo. And then Don Callis comes out, and Don Callis, listen, Don did a fantastic job with what he was doing. Like I said, it was weird. I followed it. I was with it. I thought he did a really great job of expressing what he was saying, going through and showing the idea of how he's this invisible hand and how he's working things and really living up to his name that he's been given, the Invisible Hand, and how he led Rich Swann to where Rich Swann is, but he's got a nice new shiny toy and doesn't need Rich Swann anymore. And his nice new shiny toy is going to take out Rich Swann again. Don Callis, you did a fantastic job here. But it was the way that it was sold by Rich Swann. Rich Swann just didn't sell it right. He sold it with this dumbfound look on his face. And I don't know if he was trying to, like, you know, he was thinking about Kenny Omega is going to take him out. You know, if he's thinking in the back of his mind, what is going, you know, what happened and is it going to happen again? I have absolutely no clue. All I know is it was just really weird, and Rich Swann just made it even more weirder by the way that he acted with it. And we were just left with that. This section, for me, it's the big promo of the night. It's going to just be a B. Now, if it was Don Callis on himself, I would have given it an A. Don Callis cut a really good promo, did a really fantastic job out there. But Rich Swann, you got to give him something back, and Rich Swann didn't give anything back. And again, he went from this confident Rich Swann guy to this guy that was out in La La Land, and it just felt weird with it. So anyways, we got our weekly AEW promo, and, you know, with everything that Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan bring to the table with it, I think it would be really cool if we could get a little bit more Tony Khan on the show, but I get it. It's Impact show, not AEW show. You know, it is what it is. I'd love to see a little bit more interaction, and I love the little digs. They're kind of funny. It's hilarious, and, you know, you kind of move on with it, but we got our weekly AEW promo there, which was fun. Then we move on to Eddie, Brian, and Matt in the hotel. We got Eddie and Matt talking, and, you know, they're having a good time and this and that, and then Brian comes, and Eddie says, see you later. And here's the thing. This whole thing with Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, everybody knows that, you know, they've worked together a lot over the years, and they have this really good relationship. And when they first started building out this kind of quote-unquote feud, they didn't do it very well. You know, they didn't really portray all of this stuff. There really wasn't anything built into this. And they recognized it, and they've kind of switched course a little bit and tried to fix it. And so they're kind of slowly building us to this thing where we're starting to get the motives behind what people are doing. Matt Cardona has moved into a place where Brian Myers was saying, listen, I'm trying to establish myself here. This was my thing, and you've invaded my thing. Now, listen, people can have, you know, both people can do whatever they want, and the space is available for both people. So Brian can't just have his way with it. And so it's kind of an interesting thing, this dichotomy between the two, what's happening, because they're like best friends, and they're kind of best friends in this thing. And Brian's like mad at Matt, and, you know, they're finally starting to build a story, and we're finally starting to see, in this instance, what's kind of, you know, portraying what's happening here. Whereas the first couple weeks of this, they just expected you to know that they had this history. Now they're telling us and telling the story. Thank you, Impact, for finally adjusting course, listening to the fans, and building this up. What they need to do is continue this on, build this up. If you remember, before Matt Cardona showed up, Brian Myers was slowly and quietly going through the Impact roster and beating people. That's what he was doing. Then Matt Cardona showed up, and that kind of stopped, and Brian Myers has become kind of this pseudo kind of heel whiny guy. These guys need to be moved to the title picture here once they get past this whole Kenny Omega thing. That's all done and gone. They need to move Eddie Edwards. They need to move Matt Cardona and Mike Myers. I want to say Mike Myers, but Brian Myers to the title picture with it. Get Rich Swann out of there. You can keep Moose up there. That's fine. But those three guys need to be moved up there. You know, they all have the in-ring chops to do it, and they both right now all have the charisma to really pull it off. And so I think that they might be waiting for fans to come back to do that. But anyways, I like where they're going. Excuse me with this one. Let's move to match number 4. Match number 4 was pretty much every one of the Impact knockouts that's on the roster are pretty much fighting. Actually, no, I take that back. We did not have Rosemary on there, and I'm sure there's somebody else that I'm missing. But anyways, my hat is off to these ladies and these women. They really know how to wrestle. If there's one thing I will say, that Impact Wrestling women know how to wrestle. They know they are not they are not the they're not kind of the sideshow. They're not the else. They really do hold their own when it comes to the show. And I really do appreciate that. We actually get some really good, decent wrestling out of them. And, it's one of those things to where, and a lot of people aren't going to say this, and this is by no means is to be taken the wrong way, but most of these women that are in this match are not the typical WWE, women's body types with that. However, these women can flat out wrestle and do some amazing things, and they can, most of them would put on a very good showcase on the main roster for SmackDown or Raw. I really, really think that the women's division here in Impact is just, I've talked about NXT being the best product in WWE. These, the Knockouts division in Impact might be, better overall than the talent that, any combination of WWE you could put together as a whole. If you took these 12 women and took the best 12 women in WWE, I think that these women, the talent that they have, the ability that they have, the in-ring knowledge that they have, their ability to work, to put, their opponents over, to do that is just... like I said before, my hat's off to them. This was kind of all over the place. They actually, for 6-person tag, they did a really good job of keeping it, in its place, what it needs to do. It's obviously setting up some new feuds, some new go-arounds, some new stuff with it. All in all, it was fine. It gets a B from me with it. I'm not a huge fan of these big things and all this stuff happening, but the idea is that, it kind of wipes the slate clean. And that was pretty good. And seeing Lish fight was really good. That's the first time I've seen her fight this whole time. I thought she just kind of pretty much lived in Swinger's Palace. That's another thing we did not see this week. It was Swinger. We did not see Swinger this week. And for a guy like me who I don't get the promo, it doesn't make sense to me. The whole Swinger's Palace thing, I don't like it. I don't get it. I know a lot of people love it. They think it's hilarious. I missed it this week. So, you know what? Maybe I do like it, and I just don't know that I like it. But Swinger's Palace was missed on me this week. But Lish, you did a good job wrestling. You've got some chops, and I thought that was pretty good. Faces win, which is a good way to start things out. We'll see what happens as we go on. Now, we have the Ace Austin promo, and I thought that this was the highlight, the steal of the night here. This was something that, they got an interview, and then they get interrupted by Chris Bay, then they get interrupted by Josh Alexander, and then the man of the X Division, really the one at the top, the one in control, TJP, comes on out. And listen, with a name like TJ, you can't go wrong, right? From one TJ talking to another. Listen, he is the class of the X Division. This promo that he cut really showed it. I love the way that he came out, showed his dominance, told Ace Austin, don't scratch his belt while he's holding it for him, and shows where, the power lies, and that, he understands, he's got his rematch all scheduled. It's ready to go. He's confident with it. And I love how he told Zombie to get out of his way when he was leaving, the big man with it. I really like TJP. I love his wrestling style. He is a freak athlete. He's amazing at what he does. He understands how to use a ring. He understands how to sell things. I'm telling you, if I could have a Forbidden Door dream match, it would be Rey Fenix against TJP. Just give him, half an hour and just let them go nuts, it would bring the house down. I really, really love them. Now, that's not taking anything away from Ace Austin. Ace Austin is a young, very talented wrestler who has a very bright career, and he did a fantastic job. These guys put on a decent showing on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to another decent showing next week. I hope that they keep TJP in the title picture with this. The X Division really is the class of Impact. These guys really are polished wrestlers. They wrestle really, really well. And it's just, I love the X Division. I love the idea of it. It's not cruiserweight, but it really allows the guys to really get built up, to really look at, what talent Impact has, to showcase the talent of Impact, which is kind of, they tout the X Division, and they should. This is where they shine. I mean, you've got, a really good technical wrestler in Josh Alexander, who does a fantastic job with that. You've got kind of that high flyer Flash with Chris Bay. You got another high flyer, Ace Austin, TJP, which is kind of just this hybrid, just crazy guy. I mean, the list goes on, and then you add in guys that come in there like Black Taurus, Willie Mack, and all this, and it's just fun wrestling. And it reminds me, and it kind of harkens back to the fun days of WCW when their cruiserweights, it was just fun to watch the cruiserweights, and you had guys like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, Rey Mysterio. You had these guys, and again, those guys were all smaller, but in this, you have some bigger guys, and you can have bigger guys in the X Division, and so I love it. I'm looking forward to that rematch next weekend. And if you need to take notes on how to do a promo, how to cut a promo, TJP is your man. And I thought that was fantastic. I'm going to, give it an A and give it a score because I liked it that much. Now, it moved to our main event of the night, and this was another clinic put on by two very, very good wrestlers, and two very, very different styles. You have a very vicious and violent style of Sami Callihan. And listen, Sami Callihan is a talent unlike any other in Impact. He is almost too eclectic for a promotion like WWE, a mainstream promotion like that, but he fits perfect in Impact because he's just, like I said, he's eclectic, he's weird. He cuts these insane promos that are kind of creepy sometimes, that, and he means to do that. I love his in-ring persona. I love the way that he does this, the mind games that he plays, the stuff with it, I think is just fantastic. And saving him for this place was, I think, fantastic. Him and Trey Miguel, I wish, this match would have happened probably on a pay-per-view, but I doubt this is the last meeting of them. This is not over with it, but I'm looking forward to seeing the fallout of this. If you want to see two guys who know how to work a ring and really put each other over, this is the match to watch. Because they both are very, very different styles, but they both sold for each other and allowed the other one to showcase their abilities, their talents, and really, put the other over. Neither one of them really lost in this match, even though Sami Callihan, again, pulled the bad guy, the heel trick, and he was able to get the victory over, Trey Miguel. And this is going to continue on with this storyline. He's going to continue on to be in his head, and it's perfect and it's fine. And listen, I don't need to go on really any more talking about it. If you get a chance, watch the match. It's a fun match. It's a really good showcase of what Impact can really give you. And I think the build up to this match up was great. The way that both of the wrestlers went toe-to-toe, you saw the heart, you saw the passion that was there between the two, or lack thereof, according to Sami Callihan. And right now, at the end of this chapter, Sami Callihan has the upper hand, but we'll see what will happen with the weeks to come. My prediction is that we're going to have a rematch at Hardcore Justice, and it's going to be kind of one of those matches that's going to be more in Sami Callihan's wheelhouse, but on the big stage, I think Trey Miguel is going to get the win and, be able to get that victory that he deserves to project him forward. The idea is you've got the veteran lifting up the young guy in Trey Miguel, and I think that that's exactly what we're going to see. Both very, very talented, both very, very good. You need to watch it. So that match, of course, it's getting an A from me. All in all, if you want to add it up, we've got a B+, a C+, an A, a B, an A, and an A. And I don't know. We can average that out to, if you want to add it all up, we've got 3 A's, a B+, 2 B's, and a C+. All in all, I think it's probably a B+ night, a B to a B+ night, probably more on the side of the B+ night. Impact Wrestling, you kept me around for another week. You didn't show me Kenny Omega, but I didn't need Kenny Omega. His presence loomed large over this show, and it was fantastic. Listen, I know that this review was a little bit longer in the tooth, but hey, I just felt like doing it. I was excited. I had fun, and I hope that you had fun with Impact Wrestling. If you haven't yet, you get a chance to watch Impact Wrestling. I know sometimes it's a little hard to get Impact Wrestling because it's not on the normal channels that everybody watches, but if you do get a chance to, you really need to tune into it, because if you're not, you're missing out on some really good hidden talent and some fun wrestling on a Tuesday night, at least for another month until the NXT comes on around. Like always, guys, leave me the comments down in the comment section. Let me know, if I'm wrong, if I'm right, if you think that I'm just a complete idiot and off my rocker. I would love to hear that down in the comment section. And if you think I'm awesome, I love that as well. So let me know your comments. Let's continue the discussion on down there. All right, guys, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.